Stop everything. Because what just erupted across television screens and social media timelines has exploded into a cultural maelstrom of royal mockery, animation savagery, and a seismic collapse of the once carefully curated brand of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. A media catastrophe so blistering, so ruthless, so unflinchingly cruel that even the coldest royal observer can't help but wince at the spectacle of two people who once stood on palace balconies now being animated, ridiculed, and tossed into the unforgiving crucible of satire with the same irreverence as dictators and religious crusaders. It all began with a single moment, a seemingly innocuous time travel gag on Family Guy. But what unraveled in the seconds that followed would snowball into an international pop culture reckoning. In the July 17th episode titled Twain's World, the show pulled no punches and obliterated every last trace of royal dignity left hanging by a thread when Stewie and Brian, standing amidst the swirling vortex of time travel, pondered the consequences of changing history, only for Brian to quip in his signature deadpan sarcasm, "Doesn't history pretty much suck?" And then, without warning, as if tossing a grenade into the already flickering reputation of the Sussexes, he rattles off atrocities. The Crusades, Hitler, followed by Stewie adding, "Prince Harry marrying Meghan Markle, again," a one-liner so jarring, so venomous, so soaked in cultural contempt that it set off a digital detonation of outrage, laughter, and horror, because in that moment, Family Guy had accomplished something few dared to do in mainstream entertainment. It lumped the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in the same historical trash bin as war crimes and genocide, framing them not as misunderstood heroes or tragic lovers, but as cautionary symbols of ego, excess, and the grotesque irony of modern celebrity victimhood. And just as viewers were gasping or choking on their popcorn, the screen cut to a meta cutaway, a fourth-wall demolition where an animated Prince Harry, slouched on a cartoon couch, watches himself being mocked in real time and groans, "Again?" before snapping back at the audience with, "Oh, like all of your wives are so much better," attempting a feeble retort that instead of salvaging dignity, cemented his cartoon self as the butt of the century's most scathing running joke. And this wasn't even the first time Family Guy had torched the Sussexes. Oh no. This was a long, simmering vendetta, now boiling over. Back in 2023, the same series dragged their Netflix deals, Oprah interviews, and ceaseless complaints into the comedic spotlight. But this time, the gloves were off, and the cultural patience had run dry, because what once seemed like a brave royal rebellion now looked like an endless, narcissistic feedback loop of self-pity, contradictions, and overexposure, where the couple's demands for privacy echoed absurdly through the halls of multi-million-dollar studios but the bruising didn't stop at the punchline. No, what followed after the Family Guy and South Park double barrage was an uncontrollable avalanche of public scrutiny, digital fallout, and brutal reckonings that forced Harry and Meghan to confront a horrifying truth. Their brand, once a glossy symbol of modern royalty and global compassion, had become a slow-motion PR implosion, a joke recycled by comedians, satirized in cartoons, and dissected by influencers who once heralded them as trailblazers, but now couldn't resist the irresistible draw of dunking on the royal rebels turned reality stars. And as the episodes aired and clips went viral, Twitter lit up like a battlefield, not with sympathy, but with sarcasm, as hashtags like Just Privacy Tour, Prince Parody, and Megexit 2025 trended globally, exposing just how deep the public's exhaustion had burrowed into the cultural bloodstream, with fans who once devoured every Oprah revelation now tweeting things like, "Can someone explain how they want privacy but drop new content every 6 months? And Meghan's mad about a cartoon? Imagine how Diana would feel about what they've done to the monarchy." The online discourse spiraled into chaos, spawning reaction videos, TikTok satire duets, and a week-long media frenzy that left no entertainment platform untouched, as late-night hosts weighed in with grins, comparing the Sussex saga to a season of The Crown written by Bravo producers, while royal experts called it the public reckoning they were warned about. And then came the media think pieces, the damning editorials from former allies, the strategic leaks from palace insiders who delighted in the Sussexes' new pariah status, confirming what the cartoons had mocked, that Harry and Meghan weren't just experiencing brand fatigue. They were in the midst of an all-out cultural rejection, and the numbers backed it up, as Spotify quietly scrubbed their Archetypes podcast from premium listings. And just when it seemed like the Sussex saga had exhausted every twist, when the echoes of animated ridicule were still bouncing through boardrooms and back channels from Hollywood to Buckingham Palace, a new chapter began brewing quietly beneath the headlines. In the shadows of conference rooms lined with PR warboards and frantic assistants scribbling damage control scripts, as Meghan Markle, wounded, enraged, and reportedly humiliated by the double takedown of Family Guy and South Park, began orchestrating what insiders are calling her most ambitious, covert, and desperate pivot yet. The rebirth of Meghan, a high-stakes rebranding campaign designed not only to reclaim her image, but to crush the perception that she was nothing more than a privileged malcontent clinging to victimhood. And this wasn't just about image. This was about survival, because deep inside Archewell headquarters, insiders reported a wave of resignations, cancelled meetings, and Meghan herself allegedly breaking down in private, stunned by the sheer velocity of public rejection and the eerie silence from the A-list celebrities who once championed her. Even Oprah, once her on-camera confessional ally, was now curiously silent, reportedly refusing to publicly comment on the satire storm, while Beyoncé's camp, who had once praised Meghan's courage, ghosted a proposed Archewell x Ivy Park partnership, citing creative differences but leaking to Page 6 that the timing wasn't right, a diplomatic Hollywood phrase that really meant this is radioactive. And so, surrounded by the ashes of a brand once bathed in moral superiority, Meghan began quietly reaching out to crisis PR firms in Beverly Hills, according to leaks from within a very tight circle, desperate for a strategist who could pull her out of the satire quicksand and rebuild her into something untouchable. And what emerged from those sessions, reportedly held under strict NDAs and